As a white woman who leads a black-led sport and celebrated here, I want to show a light on black women. They don't get the media coverage that they deserve. In the WNBA last season, the postseason awards, 80% of the winners were black, but they got half the amount of coverage as the white athletes. So I think it's time for change.
I will give Paige Bueckers credit for one thing: the level of brainwashing, the level of her indoctrination. It has remained consistent over the years. That clip I just showed you, that clip was from the Diversity Awards, which I believe the worldwide leader in woke is still disguising them as the ESPYs. That clip was from the Diversity Awards from 3 or 4 years ago. A young white teenager being honored for her accomplishments. A young white teenager who should be thanking God, who should be thanking her parents for getting her where she is today. But instead of doing that, the increased level of indoctrination led Paige Bueckers to downplay her own achievements while attributing her success to one of the greatest myths, the myth of white privilege. 8 years ago, Leonard McKelvey, who for reasons unknown chooses to refer to himself as Charlemagne the God, looking at his stage name, you would think that Leonard is a grade A dumbass. But if you look past the ridiculous stage name, you'll realize that Leonard McKelvey, he's a smart dude. 8 years ago, he wrote an excellent book, Black Privilege: Opportunity Comes to Those Who Create It. It is a brilliant and true story about a young black man from Moncks Corner, South Carolina, who overcame every obstacle, who busted his ass, who worked for years on the Wendy Williams show for free. All these entitled WNBA dump divers complaining about their minimum wage salaries, they need to read this book. For years, Charlie the Frog worked in radio for free because he knew, even though he was not being compensated financially, he knew that the experience that he was getting working on a national radio show with the Wendy Williams show, he knew that experience was invaluable. You couldn't put a price on it. After years of busting his ass, he creates The Breakfast Club with DJ Envy and Angela Yee. The show becomes nationally syndicated, and it's one of the biggest shows in the history of radio. Leonard McKelvey is proud to have black privilege, and he should be. He's proud that he did not believe the myth of mythical racism. He didn't allow himself to become a victim. He didn't allow himself to be put into a marginalized group. Leonard McKelvey earned his success the American way. You can make the exact same case for Paige Bueckers, but for some reason, she doesn't believe it. For some reason, Paige Bueckers attributes her success to the myth of white privilege. And if she's not careful, the continued promotion of this myth, it could have devastating consequences on her drawing power in the WNBA. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel is in the description below. Today on the second channel, going to be talking about the consequences of diversity at Disney and ESPN. ESPN's in deep shit after years of embracing the woke wiener. They are being investigated by the FCC, and all of a sudden, Disney has decided to distance themselves from diversity. Strange. We'll talk about it later today, so if you haven't already, click the link in the description below, subscribe to the second channel. With preseason operations underway in the WNBA dump and the regular season of pretend basketball starting next week, the stars of the WNBA are promoting this unmonetizable turd in the media. The media is seeking out all the big stars, which in the case of the WNBA, that means Caitlin Clark, along with players the media wishes were big stars like Angel Reese and Paige Bueckers. With a star the caliber of Angel Reese, I'm sure she was being interviewed by major outlets like the Baton Rouge Gazette or the Pensacola Pooper. But Paige Bueckers, she landed an interview with Time magazine. I don't know about you guys, but I would rather be interviewed by the Pensacola Pooper than Time Magazine. This is the same Time Magazine that renamed their prestigious Man of the Year award or Woman of the Year award to the Person of the Year, all in the name of inclusion. Anyway, Paige Bueckers was interviewed by Time Magazine. It was an extensive piece, very well put together. It would have been a great promotional piece for the WNBA, but they just couldn't help themselves. They had to go out of their way to make it all about race. Paige Bueckers just had to attribute her success to white privilege while victimizing black players in the WNBA. According to Paige Bueckers, she has been given marketing and sponsorship opportunities because she's a white woman. At the same time, the unknown players in the WNBA, they have been overlooked for decades because they're innocent black victims. It's so sad. I hate my white privilege. Paige Bueckers claimed that she recognizes her white privilege and she wants to counteract this evil privilege in the way that she conducts her business. Well, I have an idea. Since Paige is feeling so charitable, since Paige wants to combat her privilege, how about she gives all of her endorsement deals to a WNBA player of her choosing? Of course, there's one problem with that approach, one tiny problem. The corporations that she has endorsement deals with, they're not going to do it. And the reason they won't agree to it has absolutely nothing to do with mythical racism. It has nothing to do with white privilege. Paige Bueckers was not given endorsement deals over Kennedy Carter because of white privilege. She was given these deals because of her platform. She has a platform. Ken Carter doesn't. It's that simple. Paige Bueckers also claims that corporations prefer white men and white women. The most successful brand in sports is the Jordan brand. Last I checked, Michael Jordan was a black man. LeBron James, Steph Curry, Derek Jeter, Alex Rodriguez, Tiger Woods, Charles Barkley. The face of sports media is Stephen A. Smith. Do I need to keep going? The thing is, Paige Bueckers is not 100% wrong. There is a such thing as privilege, but it ain't white privilege. It's not black privilege. It's the privilege that you have when you're elite in your field. I think Paige Bueckers actually believes in what she is saying. I think she is sincere. This is not Stephen A. Smith whining about mythical racism in the NFL. This is not LeBron James pretending to be afraid to walk out of his mansion in Calabasas. I think Paige Bueckers has been indoctrinated to the point that she actually believes she has white privilege. But I also think that she is doing this to be accepted. It is no secret that the WNBA isn't exactly welcoming to straight white women. Hell, the WNBA has a reputation of not being welcoming to straight women of all races. You guys remember Candace Wiggins? She abruptly retired 8 or 9 years ago. She took off her steel-toed boots, she hung up her hard hat, and she went and got a real job as an accountant or maybe a paralegal. Whatever the hell she's doing now, she's probably making significantly more money than she was in the WNBA dump. But Candace Wiggins, she retired at 29 years old, the prime of her career. And one of the reasons that she retired is because she was being ostracized. She claimed that the atmosphere inside the WNBA was toxic if you're a woman who enjoys the company of a man. Candace Wiggins claimed that 98% of the WNBA started the alphabet with LGBT instead of ABCD. Now, I'm sure that was a little bit of an exaggeration, but you get the point. The WNBA has a reputation of ostracizing anyone who doesn't follow the woke commandments. What is one way to prevent yourself from being ostracized? Apologize for your white privilege. Yesterday, I received an email from a longtime viewer. Started out with the typical longtime viewer, first time emailer. He was very polite, very complimentary, but he was talking about the current trajectory of the WNBA. He was talking about the marketability of the Indiana Felines. Now, obviously, Caitlin Clark is a marketable star, but the Felines have a roster that would qualify for the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue before it started including dudes and body positivity models. Sophie Cunningham, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Lexi Hull, Brianna Turner. He was talking about their marketability in terms of basketball, but I was looking at their marketability in terms of mainstream appeal. Maybe he was right about their basketball acumen, but the Indiana Felines, they are damn sure a marketable roster in terms of relatability to the average woman, which, as you guys know, that is extremely rare in the WNBA. Historically, the WNBA is marketing players like Bob Griner or Natasha Cloud. I'm sure they're extremely popular in cities like Gay, Georgia, but your wife isn't gonna buy Maybelline because Natasha Cloud endorsed it. At the same time, maybe her feminine husband would buy Just for Men because the WNBA endorsed it, but you get the point. The Indiana Felines have a marketable roster. The question is, how will the mainstream media choose to cover it? Like I told you guys before, I think the mainstream media is going to pit Caitlin Clark against Paige Bueckers. I think they're going to pit them against each other. I think the media will try to make Paige Bueckers the face of the WNBA. Question is, will normal people embrace her? We have seen this movie in the past. Normal people do not embrace woke women. Hell, they don't embrace woke men, and they damn sure don't embrace woke men pretending to be women. Paige Bueckers has the marketability. She's got the charisma. She could form a legitimate on-court rivalry with Caitlin Clark that could carry the dump through the next decade. But in order to do that, she has got to stay away from the myths. But give me your thoughts on this. Paige Bueckers essentially apologizes for her white privilege. Again, she claims that white men and white women receive more marketing opportunities because of their skin color. If Paige Bueckers dedicates herself to combating the myth of white privilege, could it have a negative impact on her drawing power? You tell me. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.